Today I want to touch quickly on the subject of solar cells. A few years ago I bought 3 solar panels for use in a project. They were supposed to provide the power source or the battery backup in case the power fails. It wasn't used on the project and they've been sitting there and basically, well, they'll get outdated. This is how technology works. So we gotta start something, gotta do something with it. So I decided, let me test one of the cells and then let me put it together, make a bank of cells, and essentially use it to charge a battery. But this is focusing strictly on the actual cell itself, its basic characteristics, and some basic testing on it. The next video will deal with the whole banking them together and charging. So quickly, solar cells are actually very complicated. There are many different types. If you look quickly at this diagram, and it's really complicated. So yeah, it's time. But this is a multi-junction cells, single junction cells, thin film technology, emerging technology like perovskites, dye, organics. Long and short of it all is silicon crystal cells are largely 90 something percent of the market. They're cheap, they're mature technology. Basically that's what people use. There are two different types. Now if you look at here, there's single crystalline and there are multicrystalline. The multicrystalline is what I have, and if we look at that and we follow that blue one, what they're saying is somewhere around 2017, that's 21.9%. I bought some Chinese ones, so yeah, let's hope for the best, but no, it wouldn't be that. And just quickly, this is a demographic of the map and 2013, so 20 something percent is monosilicon, while the silicon is 50 something percent, and thin film has a small percentage, the rest of them just barely on the map. Anyway, getting back to it now. So essentially, as I said, they are monosilicon and polysilicon, right? Multi-silicon. The monosilicon is really a single wafer and they tend to be one uniform color. The polysilicon looks shattered like little broken pieces of glass. It's multiple cells, and essentially that's how you can tell the difference between them. So jumping now onto the actual cell that we have at hand. Fortunately, I was able to pull back the Amazon listing for this device, and of memory I thought it was $8 and it turns out it's still $8. Interesting that they haven't changed the price in about 3 years. As you can see, it says 2.5 watts, 5 volts, 500 mAh, and those values match what I'm seeing on the packaging that I received. The other piece of important information we get here is the size of the panel, which is 150 by 130, essentially 5 by 6 inches. That's the outer dimensions of the panel itself. That is not the actual silicon covered area, which would obviously be less because of the borders, because of the separations between cells. If we were to look at one of the panels, what you realize is that there are multiple sub-elements in there that are clearly visible and clearly separate. Row-wise, there are 10 rows, major rows. Now there are small divisions in between which are contacts on the surface, and we'll get into that after. But major rows, you can count 10. Column-wise, there's 3 columns. The central column is significantly larger than the sides. In fact, more than twice the sides. Now it's a funny thing. I don't know why they did that, but the Chinese always have a reason. Maybe the offcuts, there's gotta be a reason why it makes sense to do it this way and connect it up this way. Now, silicon generally gives about 0.6 volts per cell. So looking at 10 cells, that gives us 6 volts, which seems to suggest that the 10 cells in the basic one column are connected in series. Then that means the 3 columns are connected in parallel. So the current adds up from the columns, the voltage adds up from the rows. A close-up shot of one of the panels, the 2 rows are visible, and both of them have 6 horizontal contact strips across, splitting the crystal into 7 pieces. Now if you look at it, it looks like these are just running over the top, over crystals, because you can clearly see the same coloration in crystals going over several of these lines. I suspect what they've done is use these top metallic electrical conductors to reach down into a tissue layer right above the crystal itself. Tissue being transparent conductive oxide layer. It seems to be a logical explanation of how they've done this. And under some very dim sunlight. Now it's 12:15. It should be a lot hotter. It isn't. That said, I'm getting 5.16 volts at 60 milliamps. Second motor, because the first one I realized didn't have enough load. So the second one we're looking at 4 volts, 250 MA. So yeah, that's closer to actually 1 watt. Okay, the sunlight is actually playing along now. We are looking at 5.19 volts at 280 MA. My motor is humming pretty loud. I think I've got the limit there with that one though. Open circuit voltage 5.6 volts, and I will do a short circuit current, which, let me see, this is my positive, that's my negative lead, come back straight to the positive. Alright, short circuit current 500 MA, which is pretty good. Right, and of course the open circuit voltage went down to almost practically 0 as millivolts. Just recapping that the maximum wattage obtained was 1.45, the claimed 2.5. Test methodology isn't really accurate. The assumption of 1000 watts per square meter at this elevation is just a really rough. That's what it tests for standard test conditions, but that doesn't mean that's what we're getting here in the Caribbean. The other thing is basically the panel was flat, which means the horizontal component is high, the direct component is low. It had some sun and the other diffusion index, which we have no calculation for. So there's a lot of other factors involved in properly calculating the power, properly optimizing the power that you get on a solar panel. This is not a proper test. It's a bit more complex than this. The azimuths, the altitude angle of the panel, all these other components need to be factored in. So I really probably shouldn't beat up the Chinese and say that they really not selling a 2.5 watt panel, considering that on flat terrain essentially it obtained 1.45 maximum under direct sunlight.